Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Chris Baroni. I'm with the Lakeland Aero Country Club and Homeowners Association. I'm the CEO and litigation chair, and just wanted to say thanks for coming to the video. And this video is going to go over a recent audio recording that has been sent to me regarding what appears to be an imposter emergency meeting, which basically means, for those of you that don't know, is there are people who wanted to do a recall and they failed on about maybe a half a dozen or more different fronts to meet the prerequisite for it, and are walking around as if that doesn't matter. Okay, so that's the imposter side of this. That's the imposter board. That's what people mean by imposters. The imposters, and the reason why all three would be is because they're all three playing the game, make-believe. And that would be Hal Siegel, Michael Allan, and Harriet Cohen. So Hal Siegel and Michael Allan are on the legitimate board, but realize they're a minority, realize that they have, been outvoted and outfoxed throughout, and now they're going to be looking at trying to bring a board member sympathetic to their cause on through a recall that didn't work, and play pretend so that you'll all believe that. Obviously, if they really felt that compassionate about it, I think their time's ticking real quick on whether or not they want to go ahead and take that to the courts. But they continue to play pretend. Okay, so that's the imposter board. The real board has the two directors I just mentioned, plus the three directors who would have even had to agree that the recall was legit. And that's President Mike Human, Vice President Dave DiNapoli, and the Treasurer Paul Brownlee. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this audio, and I'm going to go over it in detail. So if you want a short video, click off now. It ain't happening. If you really want to know what's going on, you want to be informed, and you want my opinion, because some of this is going to be opinion based, then you can continue to listen on. Just know that my opinions come from the experience and knowledge that I have, having been on the board and the CEO and legal committee for the better part of close to 2 years. So the first thing is, the meeting that was called was an emergency meeting. There was nothing emergency discussed in this make-believe meeting with the make-believe people that were playing make-believe. But the reason why I want to go over it is because of its importance. What it would demonstrate, and thankfully it's not legal, else it was, many of us could sue and it'd be a disaster for the HOA. What this demonstrates is when you're not around, what's going to happen. And it also demonstrates what I've been saying and proves what I've been saying, that they're very sinister people doing very sinister things to ensure that they're helping themselves out more than they are the HOA, which is not why you're on the board. Okay, so they talk about hiring Navendu Joshi, who's an attorney whose partner, I think, may have a conflict of interest with the HOA. And that dates back quite some time ago after I did an investigation on the law firm. The FTB site, which is your, franchisee tax board. Yeah, I was trying to think of something else there. Anyway, the tax board has them as suspended, and it doesn't really matter. They can't be the HOA attorney because, of course, the board hasn't hired them. Maybe the make-believe, maybe, but it doesn't matter. Okay, that being said, their license is, or their FTB is suspended, so I don't think that there's any legitimacy to that. Plus, as I said, there's also a problem and a conflict of interest that needs to be done with that law firm. So I've already let them know that they have a potential one, and it goes back quite a while. So yeah, I was able to find it. Again, I offered my opinion, do whatever they want. I will say this. It isn't on a whim, and it isn't because of a stack of papers that I might have that's only this thick. I'd say probably like that. Okay. Dealing with the law firm. It's pretty big. My head's, well, make of it what you will. So, all right. Let's see here. Then they discuss filing a TRO against myself. They give no substance behind it, yet they all vote it. And quite frankly, proves right off the bat, within, I think it's 2 minutes, that this not only isn't an emergency meeting, but that this also is a way for some of them to seek, if they had the authority, the vengeance on those they dislike. And then they went on to claim to file a TRO, and Harriet Cohen says, when Michael Allan asks for what grounds would they file a TRO on Judy White, because she works for Chris Baroni, she says. And outside of the frivolous nature of that and the malicious part of that, it's also was approved by Hal, who clearly had a restraining order, temporary restraining order placed against him because of what he did to Judy White when he assaulted her and grabbed a camera out of her hand and smashed her hand into a glass and cut her. Now, that is what happened. He didn't get the permanent restraining order wasn't granted, but the temporary was. So make of it what you will. Clearly not a smart reason for Hal to be voting in it, and certainly raises some eyebrows when the reason is because she worked for me. We'll see how that would have played out in court, or will play out in court, if they were actually dumb enough to file it. Then they talk about the next kind of big thing is that they mentioned, and is really troubling. And, you know, they say I threatened people. I'm not sure who they're talking about. They don't even mention who I've threatened. But to move on to the next thing is then they talk about suing you. And what they're actually saying is they want you to be sued, the association, by somebody that they're going to choose. And that their Navendu Joshi is going to somehow represent both sides and sign a conflict waiver. And this is all being perpetuated by Joshi and ran through Michael Allan. And the very things that you've been told about not wanting litigation is the very, right off the top, they've got 2 TROs, and now they're already going to a 3rd lawsuit, where they're going to pick either Jeff Herring, Eric Eltebrand, whatever his name is, or Caroline, but she's got too many things, they said, too much other crap going on, so they can't get one of those. And Michael Allan kind of laughs that he couldn't get his wife to do it. Ha ha. And they want to pick someone that's on their side, they say, that's going to go ahead and file a lawsuit challenging the elections. And Hal says, so will the HOA be suing itself? And Michael responds curiously, no, a person, a member. We're going to have a member do it. Words to that effect, okay? A board member, you know, is what Harriet Cohen says. And they kind of talk through it, and then Michael says, well, the reason for that is because if the board was against board, it'd be a mangled mess, are the words he uses. This is highly ill-advisable, definitely wrong, and more than likely criminal, okay? And let me explain that. I don't care if it's civil, criminal, whatever it is so horribly wrong that your directors are looking for people to sue the association, not to benefit the association, but to benefit those 3 directors. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is bad, really bad, okay? And then later on, they go, well, how are we going to know you're going to do it? We got to decide who the homeowner is, and they've got their friends they want to do it, and then they've got a conflict waiver they're going to sign, and they're ready to push forward and do this, okay? This is mutiny, okay? So to Colonel Tom Allan, who you've been sticking up for these guys, saying how great they are, once again, you'll have to show us your true colors, Colonel, and let us know exactly why you think that this is even something that should allow them to continue at any capacity as directors of the board, okay? It is a complete and total travesty. It is a complete and total lie about, oh, we don't want more litigation. And within 5 minutes of this entire beginning of the meeting, they have voted on 3 and agreed to 3 actions of litigation with the HOA involved. Now they even get a little bit further. They're going to put you in even deeper doo-doo, because what they want to do is, what is again illegal, rescind my legal, I forget what they say on here, having the HOA represent me and the legal costs. They want to rescind it. Remember, the key word to this is rescinding, and what that actually means, and the consequences of doing something so stupid, and legally what would happen. They're begging for lawsuits, right? Because their ignorance trumps anything they have regarding just common sense. Okay, I mean, you don't even have to be a lawyer to know how dumb that would be. Okay, and although you may try it, and listen, you may be able to do it, but the consequence is so severe from the other side, it makes no sense, especially because the HOA is involved in these, and is awfully peculiar. So after them talking and rescinding all of these things, they go on talking about Hal being from the South or whatever, and he's a Southern boy, blah, blah, blah. And then they go back to this, what is it, man?
Do you have tape and staple, or if it's okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks, buddy.
I'll bring it back.
I'll just leave it in there. All right, and then I'll come pick it up, my love. Oh, Christopher, here. Duh. Right here, buddy. I'll take the stapler. Thank you.
Thanks, Daddy.
Yeah, thank you. So then they go on and they vote on Judy because she worked for me. Again, a horrible thing to do, a very not smart thing to do. And you can't sue somebody because they worked for somebody else, okay? The fact that they voted and agreed on this is absolutely egregious, and something that I just, I hope you guys understand what I've been saying and why I've been saying it. Listen, for whatever reason, some of you may not like, I don't really mind either way. I'm sure you feel your emotions are legitimate, and I'm not here to tell you they aren't. What I am here to tell you is you'd have to be pretty freaking dumb to think that this is smart for the association. And it's not. It's bad. And it can get a lot worse, truthfully. Because what you're talking about here is things, like I said, that I believe reach into that criminal element of how you're using. So, they would no longer even have their E&O policy, which is your executive and officers insurance, because they know what they're doing is wrong. So that would only protect you from something that you did because out of ignorance, right? And not in this case, right? Because they're even talking about conflicts of interest being signed, so they know. And then they go on to, Michael Allan says, all right, now we need a motion to authorize him to represent a member. And it could be me. It actually could be considered a conflict of interest. So one of us is going to have to waive the conflict of interest. Yeah.
Tape, Daddy.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, going to represent a HOA member suing the HOA. That's at about the 12-minute and 20-second mark. And Michael says, because we're paying, she says, why would it be a conflict of interest? And doesn't quite get it all the way out before Michael Allan says, because we're paying for him to represent a member to sue us. He should resign immediately, as should the other two. I can't tell you, and listen, there are plenty of things that have been done that are wrong. All of them should not have him on the board from the time that he's been suing. But the fact that so many of you will continue to put your head in the sand, I will at least have this video telling you, if it doesn't happen, well, you earned it, because there's going to be a few homeowners who are probably going to say, enough's enough. We are going to take action, because this idea that, we're suing ourselves. Well, yeah, absolutely. But if I sue for and get like $1 million, right? I'm not saying that I'm doing that, but I'm just saying a member wants to sue for $1 million. Well, then maybe let's say it's, 6 was for 3, So that would make 18, so $2,000, right? Would be close to $1 million if you had 459 homes trying to put up $1 million. Well, that's fine. So you got to put up 2,000 to get $1 million. That's why people would do it. I don't advise it. I'm not saying that they should. I'm saying that we've got members who are absolutely, positively, without any doubt, putting us in these positions. And some of you aren't even aware of it, even after you hear it and see it. So that's got to end. It's got to end here, and it's got to end with you making up a decision for yourselves. If you haven't gotten the recording or the transcript, let me know. Let somebody in the HOA that has it know. Whatever it is, say something, do something. This is bad. And this is why I was saying from the get-go, these people who were GPL supporters aren't doing this because they give a crap about you or me. They're doing it for their own personal reasons and motivations. Figure out what that is, okay? It won't matter now, will it? I mean, it could be for any number of reasons. It's still horrible for the HOA. They go on to say, the challenge, to represent a member in a legal challenge of the 2019 recall, the recall. So here it says, okay, why would one of us have to? Well, no, someone on the board is going to have to sign a waiver, Michael Allan says. I'm not asking approval for that. I'm just going to have to do that. That's at the 1330 mark. And then he goes to move, and Siegel goes, okay, and then he says, I move that the HOA Joshi to challenge the 2019 entire board recall. Why would he move to challenge the entire board recall if they really believed it was legitimate? This whole thing reeks of stupidity. I mean, I just read it to you at the 14-minute mark of their fake meeting. They're now saying that they know that it wasn't legit because they want Josie to challenge it. What do they want to do? They want to challenge the legitimate election that they think they had? No, of course not. They want that board to be. They want to challenge what they know is right and illegal, which was their recall. Ladies and gentlemen, listen. There it is. Some of you listened to this and told me you didn't know what to hear or you weren't sure. It's like, you're very smart. A ton of you are. I know you don't have a shit ton of time. It could be said that I do, and you may be right. But that being said, though, is we've got to understand the serious nature for what it is that's being said here. You all are getting hustled. You're getting hoodwinked. You're getting the wool pulled over your eyes. We've got a problem here. And then they talk about going into more of a discussion. And then they talk about who they're going to use. Oh, is it going to be Jeff Herring or is it going to be Caroline? And they say, oh, not because, Harriet Cohen says, no, not because of all her shit, right? And then they don't trust Mary Woods or Massard, whatever her name is. And they talk about why they shouldn't trust her. Well, I'll let you three in on a little secret because Double Agent Woods is trying to play double agent and you're finally catching on. We figured that out about a year ago. That's why she was so far in onto your side. Because we knew what she was trying to do with Mike Human, Dave DiNapoli, and myself, and she's double agent. Harriet, you should see the emails I have. Trust me, there's good reason why some of you don't trust her. Sorry, Double Agent Woods, you just got exposed. Anyway. Then Michael Allan says she's weird. Something about Jeff Herring then calls in the middle of the meeting, and he only answers it because Jeff so rarely calls him. It's cute. And then they vote all in favor of whatever monkey motion they want to do, vote in favor of. They talk about some of the court hearing stuff with Shelby and Shelby Wagner, who's, she's got an uphill battle, but and a very dishonest human being. I mean, just a very dishonest person. And how she testified or, was a witness in the case of where Hal assaulted Judy and what was said there, is what was said there. I'm not going to go over that. And then they go over about trying to contact the FBI, which actually I applaud. Good luck when you're there. If you could, give them a little reminder. We're still waiting on the GPL side of things and all of the fun things that they did. But yeah, they finally came to the realization that the $220,000 they claim I stole, that they know I didn't steal. I actually deposited into another account. Yep. They thought somehow that was going to be stealing. Now, these are people that weren't even the signers on the account. And on that note, just so you know, 2 people who were signers on that account were unauthorized signers, Gloria and Don Melching. So Gloria is the Lore, Gloria, and Don is the Don, so Lore Don Management. Those are the 2 owners. They also are the parents of Donalia Bauer. So, and that's who works for her parents. She works for them. Then they talk about some crap about embezzling and all this crap. I mean, just silly stuff. But I won't go over. I mean, there are some other things where I guess I should mention that it appears that Ken, I think last name Kenneth Warner, is somehow reminding Harriet of Chris. I don't know if that Chris is me or not, but probably not. I don't know. I'd get dragged into that, but maybe I was. I don't know. I care less, to be honest. But the reason why I'm mentioning that is because apparently Harriet is talking to Zachary Levine, but claims she wasn't talking to Zach Levine. But it's clear that Michael Allan is, and then, according to some court documents, that Zachary Levine is actually trying to dismiss cases without actually taking it to the real board. Now, remember, we have emails from Zachary saying how this would break down if the imposters were to continue being imposters, and how this would have to end. And then you have them talking about suing for the recall earlier in this conversation. So then why then is he giving them a meeting? And why is he giving their fake attorney a bunch of legal information? Because it's my contention that Zach's been working for GPL for a long time. Oh my God, Chris, how can you say such a thing? Oh, because you were a supporter of Zach's. You think? Yeah, I guess I was, wasn't I? And for damn good reason. Because the trail and the paper trail and the decisions and the lack of proper representation clearly demonstrate one thing. We know Zach wasn't on the side of the Lakeland Arrow Homeowners Association. We just needed to continue to ensure we had enough to prove it, and we do. And it goes back to one of the more obvious things. Why was he the inspector of elections for the first recall against Michael Allan? That way they'd have an out in case he got recalled. What better way to settle with GPL? And Michael Allan tries to, of course, execute this lame plan. But in its theory, it sounds good. Remember, planning is important. Execution of that plan is mandatory. I know some really good strategic planners, and I would never, ever allow them to handle my execution plan because it'd be a disaster. And I've seen it over and over again. Got a lot of good strategists, but you need people who can execute. You have to be vigilant in your strategy and in how you adapt an execution to that strategy, because we all think it can be that easy and it's just going to work out fine, but you better have plan A and B, and you better run plan A like there is no B, right? I'm dead serious. You better run plan A like there's no B, because if you have to go to plan B, you're on your heels. You don't want to be on your heels when you're executing strategy. That being said, what better way to settle with GPL than to Zach Levine? Shocker, he's going to have a conflict of interest. What's the conflict? Anybody know? Oh, the emails? Well, then he's had that conflict for a long time, right? Honorable Judge Shirley Watkins I promise you, already sent one clear message. And let me tell you, I listen and watch everything she says and does because truthfully, her and Judge Mandel are probably, at least in my limited experience, two of the smartest people I've ever seen discuss anything, because they're not just smart, but they are strategic and they execute better than anybody, and nobody comes close. And I've seen it firsthand throughout these hearings. And I won't go on, but I would love to, if someone wants to, I can give you specific things, dates and times that they said certain things that if you weren't paying close attention, she's already told you what's going on. She knows it for a fact. There's no doubt in my mind. And here's what she said. Now, they had a 6-day-old attorney, meaning he'd been 6 days, I think, working with Wolk and Levine when they tried to file the sneaky ex parte without letting us know, okay? Which is highly unethical, okay? Another problem for the Wolk and Levine team. Here's what she says. She says, well, we've known about this conflict of interest for months. She said that. I'm saying she said that because I didn't write it down, because it was seared into my brain. Because what I realized was there were things going on that I never knew about. Of course, I could imagine some of it, just not as much as I'm finding out was actually going on. And she's right. So why then was the ex parte denied? Not just because the plaintiffs wanted it denied, and not just because we wanted it denied, but because she knows the shenanigans that's going on. And this beautiful portrait of bad Chris Baroni, the guy with a chain around his neck because a fun time we were having at the club and trying to turn it, that shit doesn't work with them. They've seen 10 times worse and better, to be honest with you. But because she was sending a message saying, you can't do this. And then she said something at least 2 times, and I think 3. She never addressed me specifically because she's the consummate professional. But she addressed this attorney who represented the HOA still, as Wolk Levine does, and said, you need to make sure your client knows they need another attorney. And there's some things that needed to be done, blah, 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 blah. And then you need to make sure that your client knows they need another attorney. And I believe she said it another time. She wasn't saying that because she was, in my opinion, and I may be wrong, but I appreciate it, and this is the best way to be wrong, is she's right. And we know that. And thank you. And we're on it. In fact, we're definitely on it. So that is where we're at in reality, okay? You get rid of Zach, okay? He's gone. But we've known he's had a conflict of interest for months, according to the judge. But he's gone before the case management conference. And then you got fake attorneys sending out fake letters saying that Chris Baroni is fired. Who in the hell does that leave you with in court? Nobody. I guess we got to settle. And this is what I've been telling you from the get-go. This is one of the most transparent, sophomoric, weakly executed, first-grade plans I have ever seen. It's kind of like the opening gambit, fool's gambit in chess. Once you've seen it happen, as the court has seen many times, it's exposed. What also is exposed is all of the leeches who've been trying to leech upon our association to do, as Marco Gonzalez said in his little video and of his little diatribe, I'm going to make sure nobody comes in this fucking place. Okay, Marco. Pretty brave words. Gotta hand it to him. He knew what the hell he was talking about. He wasn't just talking because he didn't mean it. But now him and his stooge attorneys are going to have to deal with that in court. Never thought about that, did you? Kind of like giving out your plan a little early. I'm giving it to you now. You got plenty of time to try to defend it, because you won't and you can't. And it's been about a year. And we've got a few people who've been contacted by, I don't know, somebody telling them not to be there. Regardless, it's on tape. It's recorded what was said. So all of these people because he couldn't get a bowl of pasta from Francesco, are you shitting me? Fuck out of here. We know what was going on there. We know about the other restaurants. We know about the other lawsuits and all of the filings for bankruptcies with other places. We know about the Canyon Club incident. Goose equals cooked. Hopefully you guys can appreciate that analogy. And then you have the tennis. This is another leech, trying to leech off, doing favors for friends. Never even had an agreement or a contract with us. Suing us. Silly, stupid. I hope that at the CMC that's dropped right away. I don't even understand, outside of Zach's 100 hours of billing us for that case and the work up to it all, the crock that's become. That was what you call a billable hours case for the Woken Levine team, working real close with the plaintiffs, okay? Like I said, got to kind of draw them out every now and then. Make sure you have as much evidence as you can to prove it, and we do. Woken Levine's in deep do. So then comes the Rappaport-Miller-Klezak case that was never filed by either of those three, right? Come on, Gary, you're at the meeting. No one's asking you the tough questions, man. Just go ahead and say you filed it. Go ahead. And then took your name off it a month later. Do that. We'd love to examine that, okay? So that being said, then that lends us to, a couple things I can't get into. But let's just say the Attain case is very peculiar. Here they might have their own conflict of interest in the federal case. Why? Because it's my strong belief that they were filing this not because they gave a rip about what happened 18 months ago. I mean, now I found out it wasn't quite 50, that's probably, or 60, whatever it was. That's what Zach probably billed for, but the other law firms were about that too, so it was close to 125. Pocket change, 125. Especially when they're going to have to spend all this money on attorneys. No, that's not what was going on. That was a favor. That was a favor for somebody. That's my guess. I think it was also to put pressure on you gullible people to believe that if you just got rid of that bad guy who's fighting like hell to protect everybody of the HOA, they could definitely get the settlement. And then Attain wouldn't have to be on the hook. But why would Attain care? They're going to get their money because we're going to win. And they're the first ones to get paid. So why would Attain give two rips? You guys come up with your own. Like I said, these are just my thoughts. But all of these succinct things that are going on aren't just all coincidence. And all the other bullshit cases, like we had one with the small claims crap that was going on, and then the key fob guys that were going on, minuscule stuff, doesn't really matter. But those do. And the reason why they do is because what it clearly signals to the others, that virtue signaling, like, hey, go ahead and resign. Go ahead. Zach's going to resign and not be able to opine on the recall that never was, okay? How awesome was it for these attorneys to come in, fake the funk on a nasty dunk, and start sending out letters to everybody pretending there to be somebody they're not. And what do we have to counter it? Man, what a tough spot we were in. Not really. I'll tell you this much. Those of you who are now getting this, and those of you who may have listened to even parts of this, and those of you who gotten to this part at least, you know this. This was all part of the plan. If it was just 10 things, it'd be coincidental. The fact that it's 30 things proves that it's not, okay? And that will be getting addressed as well at some point in time. But that's a long video, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to tell you, I don't want to hear anything about how you don't have information and blah, 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 blah. What I gave you was thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours worth of information and condensed it into 60 minutes. If you watch this video and you care, because you can watch it, not care, not remember a damn thing. But if you care enough to watch this entire video, it really won't matter what somebody else sends out from the GPL supporter obstructionist side. It really won't. The jig's up, and they know it on the other side. The imposters know it. The attorneys, Alana and Gary and Jonathan, sent you guys a couple emails. That's just, hopefully you'd had that already and Zach wasn't sandbagging it. All right. So anyway, I'll see you guys another time. I'll probably be putting out another couple more videos. I got some great emails from Francesco Pesce, my Italian brother. Francesco, you talk really tough in an email and a text, my friend. I'm gonna make you famous in a nice and legal and kind way. I'm gonna make you famous, tough guy. All right. You guys have a great one. I wish you nothing but the best, and look forward to seeing you soon.